Welcome back to the Deep Dive. We're taking the sources you sent us, all the facts, the figures, the footnotes, and really trying to cut right through the noise.
Yeah, get you that precise knowledge you need, put it all in context.
And today, oh boy, we're not just wading into history or science. We are sailing, directly into the heart of pure legend.
We are the Bermuda Triangle.
The Devil's Triangle.
Right, that too. It's the ultimate zone of the unexplained, isn't it? For decades, this place has had such a powerful grip on, well, everyone's imagination.
Mention the name and boom, vanishing ships, planes blinking out of existence.
Alien interference, maybe even time warps, yeah, all that stuff.
It really is the world's most famous aquatic mystery. So, our mission today: take the stack of sources you gave us and just dissect the myth completely.
Separate the drama, the thrilling stories we all know.
From the cold, hard, verifiable reality.
Yeah.
We want to know empirically, is this place cursed? Or is it just, the victim of some really, really good storytelling?
Phenomenal marketing, perhaps. And to kick things off, we really need to ground ourselves in the reality of the location. Because the truth about this spot, it actually makes the myth even more fascinating when you think about it.
How so?
Well, despite this reputation as a graveyard, a place where things just vanish, the Bermuda Triangle isn't some desolate, empty patch of ocean nobody goes near.
Right. That's the initial kind of shocking fact that gets buried under all the spooky stories.
Exactly. This supposed zone of, inexplicable disappearances, it's actually one of the world's most heavily traveled shipping and flight paths.
Yeah, we're talking hundreds of cargo ships, massive cruise liners, planes zipping back and forth every single day.
Linking huge economies.
Yeah.
U.S., Caribbean, South America, it's constant traffic.
So the idea that things disappear here with so much activity, so many potential witnesses, that's remarkable in itself.
It really is. It adds another layer to why the mystery caught on.
Okay, so let's start nailing down the basics. This fabled zone, where is it exactly?
Well, first off, it's crucial to understand the Bermuda Triangle isn't like an official place on any map recognized by, say, the U.S. Coast Guard or any international body.
It's not a formal geographical region?
Nope. It's a loosely defined area in the western part of the North Atlantic. It's really more a construct of storytelling than actual geography.
Gotcha. But the classic shape, the one everyone pictures,
Yeah.
that connects 3 points, right?
That's the one. You draw lines connecting Miami in Florida,
Okay.
the island of Bermuda, way out in the Atlantic, and San Juan, down in Puerto Rico. Connect those dots, you get the triangle.
And how big an area are we talking about?
Roughly 500,000 square miles of ocean, give or take.
500,000 square miles. That's huge.
It is. And that size is important
Yeah.
psychologically. Something goes wrong anywhere in that massive space, it can easily get lumped into the Bermuda Triangle legend later on.
Right. And you said the definitions can vary.
Oh, yeah. Some storytellers stretch those boundaries quite a bit, pull in incidents that happened way outside the traditional corners just to make the list look longer,
Makes the mystery seem bigger.
Exactly. But whether it's the tight definition or a stretched one, the core fact is the same. This area is a critical crossroads.
The main highway for ships and planes between the U.S. East Coast, the Caribbean, Central, and South America. A fundamental global trade route.
Absolutely. And there's one huge geographical feature dominating this whole region we need to talk about.
What's that?
The Gulf Stream. This incredibly powerful ocean current flows right through the heart of these waters.
And that's important because...
We'll get into the details, but it plays a massive role in why things seem to vanish without a trace. It's a key piece of the puzzle.
Okay. But thinking historically, this area wasn't always considered weird, was it?
Yeah.
For centuries, ships were lost at sea all the time, everywhere. That was just a grim reality of sailing.
Completely normal, sadly.
Yeah.
Losing ships was part of global trade, especially before advanced navigation and weather forecasting. This particular patch of water didn't have any special spooky reputation for a long, long time.
So when did that change? When did the whispering start?
It really started to come together after World War II. The modern mystery began to take shape around 1950. There was an Associated Press article by a reporter named Edward Van Winkle Jones.
Okay.
And he discussed some unusual disappearances in the general area. It wasn't called the Triangle yet, but he was the first one, really, to publicly suggest, hey, maybe there's a pattern here.
Just planting the seed.
Exactly. But the name, the brand name that stuck, that came later, the real ignition point was 1964.
What happened then?
A writer named Vincent Gaddis, he coined the name we all know, the deadly Bermuda Triangle.
Oh, there it is.
He published an article in Argosy magazine, which was a popular pulp adventure magazine at the time. And what Gaddis did was crucial. He didn't just report on one incident, he gathered a bunch of separate, unrelated tragedies.
And drew a line around them.
Precisely. He presented them as a unified, mysterious, recurring pattern. That act of connecting the dots, whether they should have been connected or not, that was the essential leap. That created the narrative.
And once that narrative existed, it was like striking oil, wasn't it?
It really was. But the true cultural explosion, the moment it went from pulp magazines to global phenomenon, was 10 years later, 1974.
Charles Berlitz.
Charles Berlitz and his book, The Bermuda Triangle. It was an absolute runaway bestseller, sold millions and millions of copies worldwide. That book cemented the legend in the global consciousness.
But how accurate was Berlitz's book? The sources we looked at seemed pretty critical.
Oh, highly critical, and for good reason. Look, Berlitz's book was incredibly dramatic, a real page-turner, but it wasn't exactly rigorous investigation.
We didn't.
He consistently exaggerated details. He embellished the circumstances around the disappearances. And maybe the worst part, he often just left out facts, strategically omitted information that might have pointed to a perfectly rational explanation.
Can you give an example of that kind of selective storytelling?
Sure. There's a famous case he often cited, a freighter that supposedly vanished without warning, swallowed by the triangle. Sounds mysterious, right?
Yeah, classic triangle story.
But the official inquiries, the actual investigations, they found the freighter was known to be structurally unsound. It was overloaded way past safe limits, and it sank during a documented severe tropical storm.
Okay, so not so mysterious.
Not at all. And get this. Sometimes the spot where it was officially recorded as sinking was hundreds of miles outside the usual triangle boundaries. But Berlitz, he includes the drama of the vanishing.
But leaves out the dodgy ship, the hurricane, and the fact it wasn't even in the triangle.
Exactly. The goal wasn't reporting the truth. The goal was crafting a legend, make it scarier, make it more compelling.
Wow. So the myth was expertly manufactured, you could say. But it needed some real events to build on, right? It used genuine tragedies as its foundation.
Oh, absolutely. And that takes us to the core stories, the incidents that built this whole narrative. The ones everyone thinks of when they hear Bermuda Triangle.
Right, because when you look at what Gaddis and Berlitz pulled together, there are a few key incidents they always point to as the proof.
The cornerstones of the legend.
And number one, the most famous, the one that really kicked the whole thing into high gear, Flight 19, December 5th, 1945.
Yeah, Flight 19 is the absolute classic. It was supposed to be a routine training flight, 5 U.S. Navy TBM Avenger torpedo bombers.
Taking off from Fort Lauderdale, Florida.
Right. Now, these were sturdy planes for their time, but we're talking 1945 technology, navigation, radio equipment, pretty basic by today's standards. And the whole tragedy really seems to boil down to a catastrophic navigational error.
The flight leader, Lieutenant Charles Taylor, he got lost, right?
Yeah.
The radio transmissions are chilling.
They really are. You can hear the confusion in his voice. He kept saying his compasses were acting up, malfunctioning. And crucially, he seemed to believe they were flying over the Florida Keys.
When they weren't anywhere near the Keys.
Nowhere near. Subsequent analysis put them far to the north and east, out over the open Atlantic. But Taylor was used to flying over the Keys, seeing land below. When he looked down and saw only water, he interpreted it as the Keys, which meant his sense of direction was completely off.
So he was totally disoriented.
Utterly. And as it got dark, fuel running low, he kept changing course. East, then west, then east again, desperately searching for land that just wasn't where he thought it was.
And eventually...
Eventually, all 5 planes ran out of fuel. All 14 crew members lost over the vast, dark ocean.
Just tragic. Sounds like human error, maybe compounded by the instruments and the stress.
Right.
But the legend always presents Flight 19 as a double disappearance, doesn't it?
Ah, yes. That's what really adds that layer of deep dread, the rescue plane.
A PBM Mariner flying boat sent out to search for Flight 19.
Correct. And it also vanished. Same general area, same night. 13 more men, gone.
So now you have 2 separate flights, 27 men in total.
Yeah.
Just gone.
You can see why that became such powerful storytelling. Feels like something sinister must be at work.
But let's peel back that layer again using the sources. What do the records suggest happened to that Mariner rescue plane?
Well, the records strongly suggest equipment failure. Those PBM Mariners, they had a known serious issue with their fuel vapor systems. They were notoriously volatile.
Notorious.
Their nickname among pilots at the time was flying gas tanks.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And we have documentation. A passing tanker ship, the SS Gaines Mills, reported seeing a huge fiery explosion in the sky right around the time and place the Mariner would have been searching.
So a flying gas tank exploded.
It seems the most likely mundane explanation. So if you look at it objectively, you have one flight lost to disorientation and navigation error, and a second flight, the rescue plane, lost to a known catastrophic equipment failure. Two tragedies, yes, but not necessarily supernatural.
But the legend just says the triangle got them both.
Precisely. It smooths out the details for maximum impact.
Okay, moving from the air to the sea. The USS Cyclops. This one is maybe even more staggering. A huge Navy cargo ship vanished March 1918.
The scale here is just immense. The Cyclops was over 500 feet long, carrying more than 300 people, plus a massive cargo of manganese ore.
And it disappeared somewhere between Barbados and Baltimore.
Yep. And what makes this the ultimate ship mystery is the complete lack of anything. No distress signal was ever received. Not a single piece of wreckage, not a life raft. Nothing was ever found.
Nothing for a ship that big.
Nothing. It remains one of the largest single non-combat losses of life in U.S. naval history and completely unsolved.
Okay, I have to push back a bit here on the explanations. You mentioned the Gulf Stream carrying debris away. Fine for a small plane, maybe, but how does even a strong current make a 19,000-ton naval vessel completely vanish without a trace? Doesn't the total lack of wreckage here still feel genuinely weird?
That's a fair point, a really crucial one, and it means we need to look beyond just the current. Two other factors come into play with the Cyclops. First, the context of the ship itself.
What about it?
Two of its sister ships, built to the same design, also vanished without a trace in the same general area during World War II.
Two others. The same class of ship.
Yes. Which raises really strong suspicions about potential design flaws in that class of vessel. Maybe structural weaknesses, especially when carrying very heavy, dense cargo like manganese ore. That stuff can shift suddenly in rough seas, compromising stability dramatically.
So maybe a sudden, catastrophic structural failure, sinking too fast for a distress call.
That's a very plausible theory. A massive failure could lead to an incredibly rapid sinking. And that brings us to the second factor.
Which is?
The deep ocean floor. Parts of the area where the Cyclops likely vanished include incredibly deep trenches, thousands and thousands of feet down.
Deeper than typical recovery efforts could reach back then.
Oh, absolutely. If a huge ship like the Cyclops sinks largely intact due to a sudden failure, it doesn't just settle gently on the seabed. It plunges into crushing, near-impenetrable depths. Recovery isn't just hard, it's virtually impossible, especially in 1918, so historically it becomes a total vanishing.
Okay, that makes sense. Deep water, potential design flaw, it adds up. What about the British planes? The Star Tiger and Star Ariel.
Right, 1948 and 1949. These two incidents, happening just a year apart, really hammered home that theme of sudden, silent loss in the post-war era.
Both were British South American Airways 2 to the 4th aircraft.
Yes. One vanished flying from the Azores to Bermuda, the other from Bermuda to Jamaica. And again, the key element. Both disappeared without sending a single distress signal. No warning, no final message, no wreckage found.
Just gone.
Just gone. That silence, that lack of any clue, added immensely to this growing feeling that something out there was just snatching planes and ships right out of existence.
So, summing up these core incidents, Berlitz, Gaddis, and others took these real devastating tragedies,
Legitimate losses, yes.
framed them using the lack of evidence, which was often due to deep water or currents,
Right.
amplify the mystery by leaving out inconvenient facts like storms or mechanical problems.
Or stretching the boundary.
And boom, you've built a legend.
You have. Analysis of the lists shows so many of the supposed mysteries were distorted. They either had known causes hit a reef, sank in a documented storm, or sometimes they happened way outside the triangle but got pulled in anyway just to inflate the numbers, make the pattern seem undeniable.
Okay, so that's the foundation. Now let's pivot to the really colorful stuff. Because once that pattern was established, the theories about why it was happening started flowing freely. The 70s and 80s were prime time for this, right?
Oh, yeah. The cultural mood was perfect. Big interest in UFOs, paranormal stuff, New Age ideas, it all fed into it. And we have to start with Theory A, the alien connection.
Ah, the little green men. Or maybe big gray ones underwater.
Exactly. The idea that extraterrestrials are responsible, maybe abducting ships and planes, maybe operating from secret underwater bases right there in the triangle.
And the proposed mechanism is usually something like advanced alien tech.
Yeah.
UFOs generating electromagnetic fields that just zap electronics.
That's the common claim. Something that instantly disables navigation, communication, power systems, allowing for a silent abduction. Poof, gone.
It's definitely dramatic. You can see the appeal.
Absolutely. It offers this complex, exotic, almost exciting answer instead of just sad, mundane reality. A ship sinking in a storm is tragic. A ship being snatched by aliens, that taps into something deeper, our fascination with the unknown, with advanced power.
But okay, let's be rigorous. We look at the sources, the official reports, the investigations. What evidence do we find for the alien theory? The smoking ray gun?
We find absolutely nothing. Zero credible evidence.
No recovered wreckage with weird alien tech.
None. No confirmed sightings of UFOs directly correlated with a specific documented disappearance. It's pure speculation. It exists entirely in pop culture, books, movies, filling that information gap with the most exciting story imaginable.
Okay, no aliens. What about Theory B? This one feels even more sci-fi. Portals and dimensional gateways.
Right, this is the idea that things aren't being destroyed or abducted. They're slipping through the cracks.
Like falling into another dimension. Through a rift in space-time, a wormhole.
Exactly. They just cease to exist in our reality. And this theory often gets tied to eyewitness accounts sometimes of strange fog or weird instrument behavior right before vanishing.
And this one often gets linked to older myths too, right? Like Atlantis.
Oh yeah, the Atlantis connection is huge here. The idea is that maybe some ancient, powerful Atlantean technology energy crystals maybe is still active down on the seabed.
And it's accidentally creating these dimensional disturbances or time warps.
That's the fantasy, yes. And for a lot of people, hearing words like wormholes or space-time gives it this little shred of seeming scientific possibility, even though the connection is totally fictionalized.
It borrows the language, but not the actual science.
Precisely. Because when you talk to actual physicists, people who study space-time, they're not suggesting random dimensional gates are just popping open in the Atlantic.
Doesn't really fit with the known laws of physics.
Not even close. The idea of stable, accessible rifts like that appearing and disappearing contradicts everything we know. If they were real, we'd likely detect them with sensitive instruments globally, and we don't.
So again, compelling story, zero actual evidence.
Zero scientific backing. So with the supernatural stuff pretty much debunked by the lack of evidence, we need to turn to the factors that are undeniably present in this part of the ocean, the real stuff.
Okay, let's shift from science fiction to actual oceanography, meteorology, and navigation. Because the real explanations, while maybe less exciting, are based on hard, verifiable facts about this area.
And they're often just as dramatic in their own way.
So where do we start? Let's tackle the central claim of the whole mystery. Is this region actually statistically more dangerous than other busy ocean areas?
That's the absolute key question. And the answer, based on analysis by maritime researchers, insurance actuaries, the Coast Guard, is a clear no.
No, it's not more dangerous.
No. They confirm emphatically that the rate of disappearances in the Bermuda Triangle area is statistically normal for the immense volume of ship and air traffic it handles.
Wow. Okay, that statement alone fundamentally dismantles the core premise of the myth, doesn't it?
It really does.
Yeah.
If you compare the number of losses per, say, 10,000 voyages here versus other really busy stormy routes like the North Sea or the big shipping lanes off Asia, the risk level is basically the same.
So the number of incidents looks high just because the amount of traffic is so incredibly high.
Exactly. High frequency, but a normal rate. It's like comparing accidents on a quiet country road versus a major city highway during rush hour. More accidents happen on the highway, but that doesn't mean the highway itself is magically dangerous, just busier.
Okay, that makes perfect sense. And when accidents do happen there, you mentioned the Gulf Stream playing a role in the vanishing perception.
A huge role. Think of the Gulf Stream as this giant, fast-moving river within the ocean.
Flowing northeast, right, from the Gulf of Mexico towards Europe.
Yep. It's incredibly strong, warm, and swift. So if a small boat sinks or a plane breaks up and debris hits the water,
The current just grabs it.
grabs it and carries away fast. We're talking hundreds of miles in just a few days sometimes.
So by the time search and rescue crews get to the last known coordinates,
There's nothing there. The wreckage isn't gone. It's just been swept far outside the expected surf zone by this powerful natural force.
creating that illusion of a disappearance without a trace.
Precisely. The trace was just relocated by, essentially, a 10-knot conveyor belt of water.
Okay, besides the current, what about the weather? Is it particularly nasty there?
Notoriously so. The region is known for incredibly unpredictable, sudden, and violent storms. Squalls can literally blow up out of nowhere, going from calm seas to hurricane-force winds in very short order.
Plus the regular hurricane season.
Plus, the whole Caribbean hurricane season adding another layer of danger for several months a year. These sudden, overwhelming weather events can absolutely sink even large, sturdy vessels very quickly, often without time for a mayday call.
And there was that historical compass issue too, right? Especially relevant for older incidents like Flight 19 before GPS.
Yes, this is a fascinating technical point. The Bermuda Triangle area includes something called an agonic line or zero variation line,
Yeah.
meaning it's one of the few places on Earth where true north, the direction to the geographic North Pole, and magnetic north, where your compass needle points, actually align perfectly. Almost everywhere else, there's an angular difference called magnetic variation or declination that navigators have to correct for.
So what happens if you're navigating by compass and you cross that zero line without realizing it or without adjusting your calculations?
Well, if you were applying a correction factor before, suddenly you don't need it. Or if you weren't expecting zero variation, your compass reading might seem wrong or off compared to what you expected, even though it's now pointing to true north. For older navigators, especially under stress, like maybe Lieutenant Taylor.
In darkening skies, low on fuel.
Exactly. That sudden shift or perceived malfunction of the compass due to crossing the agonic line without accounting for it could absolutely lead to critical navigational errors and complete disorientation. It was a genuine hazard back then.
Okay, now we absolutely have to talk about the most scientifically intriguing, though still unproven, explanation for sudden sinkings. The methane hydrate hypothesis.
Ah, yes, the methane bursts. This is probably the most elegant natural explanation proposed for how a ship could, theoretically, just vanish almost instantly.
So what are methane hydrates?
They're basically chunks of natural gas, methane, trapped inside a crystal structure of frozen water, like ice, but holding gas inside. They form under the immense pressure and cold temperatures on the deep ocean floor.
Like white, icy chunks.
Yeah, they look a bit like that. And they exist in huge deposits in many parts of the world's oceans, including potentially areas around the triangle.
So what's the catastrophe scenario here? How could they sink a ship?
If something destabilizes these hydrate deposits, maybe an underwater earthquake, a landslide on the seafloor, even a change in water temperature, they can break apart rapidly.
And release the trapped methane gas.
Exactly.
That sounds terrifyingly plausible. It fits that sudden, silent, vanishing narrative perfectly.
Yeah.
But we need the scientific caveat here.
Absolutely essential caveat. While methane hydrate blowouts are a real documented geological phenomenon, and the physics of buoyancy loss are sound.
We haven't actually proven that this specific mechanism caused any specific documented Bermuda Triangle disappearance.
Correct. Extensive surveys have found methane hydrates in the broader region, but there's no direct evidence, no smoking gun, linking a specific hydrate release event to a specific lost vessel like the Star Ariel or Cyclops. Deposits exist globally. It remains a scientifically plausible hypothesis, but not a proven cause for these historical incidents.
Okay, so we've knocked down aliens and portals. We've looked at the real environmental factors, storms, currents, compass issues, maybe even methane. Let's bring it all together. What's the actual institutional consensus on what causes most losses in this area?
When you boil down all the official reports, Coast Guard investigations, naval inquiries, air accident reports, insurance data, the overwhelming majority of disappearances are attributed to a pretty mundane, though often tragic, trifecta of causes.
Okay, what's the trifecta?
Number 1, human error. Plain and simple. Bad navigation like Flight 19, poor decision-making, lack of experience, inadequate preparation, flying or sailing into known bad weather.
Number 2.
Equipment failure. Structural problems like the suspected issues with the Cyclops and its sister ships, engine trouble, electrical failures, the faulty fuel system on the Mariner rescue plane. Things break, especially older technology under stress.
And number 3, the simplest.
Bad weather. Sudden squalls, tropical storms, hurricanes. The sea can be incredibly violent and unforgiving. These 3 factors, human error, equipment failure, and weather, account for the vast majority of maritime and aviation losses worldwide, and the Bermuda Triangle is no different.
And this is where the legend really has to confront the facts, because it means many of the famous mysteries were actually exaggerated or distorted or maybe even fabricated.
The selective reporting was key. You find cases where a ship clearly hit a reef or was known to be overloaded and sank in a documented gale, but those inconvenient details get dropped and it gets relabeled as an unexplained vanishing because that's a better story.
The pattern came first, and the facts were made to fit.
Exactly. It wasn't investigation leading to a theory. It was a theory looking for incidents to validate it, even if it meant bending the truth.
So what about the official bodies? The U.S. Coast Guard, the people who actually patrol these waters. What's their official stance?
The Coast Guard has been very consistent over the years. They've stated repeatedly, publicly, that they do not recognize the Bermuda Triangle as a uniquely hazardous area.
They don't issue special warnings for it.
No. No special protocols, no danger zone warnings. Their position is that the standard known risks of sea travel weather, human error, mechanical failure, are sufficient to explain the accidents that happen there, just like anywhere else.
Okay, but maybe, just maybe, the Coast Guard doesn't want to cause panic, right? Isn't there a more objective judge of actual risk? Someone whose literal job is to calculate risk based on hard data.
There is the ultimate impartial judge, the insurance industry, specifically Lloyd's of London.
The huge international insurance market that insures giant ships and valuable cargo all over the world.
Exactly. They operate purely on cold, hard actuarial data. If traveling through a specific patch of ocean genuinely carried a measurably higher risk, whether from aliens, portals, methane, or anything else, that extra risk would be reflected on higher insurance premiums. They wouldn't insure ships going there for the standard rate if the losses were truly abnormal.
Makes sense. Their business depends on accurately assessing risk. So what do they charge for vessels going through the Bermuda Triangle?
Lloyd's confirms they do not charge higher premiums for vessels transiting the Bermuda Triangle. They assess the risk as normal, standard maritime risk, same as other busy ocean areas.
Wow, that says it all, doesn't it? If the money people aren't worried, maybe the mystery isn't quite so mysterious.
It's probably the single most telling piece of data. Their bottom line confirms that this area is just ocean. Normal ocean with normal hazards.
So the final synthesis, drawing from all these sources, the Bermuda Triangle is a unique zone of paranormal danger. It's a myth, a creation of writers, fueled by selective reporting, amplified by pop culture, feeding on our fascination with the unknown, not a genuine geographical anomaly.
That's the inescapable conclusion based on the evidence, which leads to the really interesting question now.
Why? Given all that evidence, why does the legend persist so powerfully? This feels like it shifts from oceanography to psychology.
It absolutely does. It's about human nature and how we process stories and information.
And I think the first most basic reason is just, we love a mystery, don't we? Especially an unsolved one. In our modern world where everything seems mapped, tracked, explained, the idea that huge things, planes, ships, can still just vanish without a trace, that's deeply compelling. It hints that maybe we don't know everything.
And we are fundamentally pattern-seeking animals. Our brains are wired to find connections, even in random events. When Gaddis first drew that triangle on the map and listed those initial incidents...
Our brains went, a pattern.
Exactly. Even if the incidents were separated by decades, different causes, different locations within that huge area, once the pattern is suggested, confirmation bias kicks in. Every subsequent accident, regardless of its real cause, gets slotted into that existing framework, reinforcing the belief, oh, another one for the triangle.
And let's be honest, the narrative appeal is huge. The story is just better, isn't it?
Way better.
A story about pilot error and magnetic variation. That's sad, it's technical. A story about slipping through a dimensional rift caused by ancient Atlantean crystals.
That's thrilling. It's terrifying. It sells books. It makes great TV. The dramatic explanation nearly always wins out over the mundane one in popular culture.
It feeds that desire for something more exotic, more meaningful than just an accident.
It does, and the environment itself helps keep the mystery alive, those deep ocean trenches we talked about.
Where wreckage disappears beyond easy reach.
Right. That lack of physical evidence, the fact that the ocean can swallow things so completely, it gets interpreted not as evidence of the ocean's vastness and depth, but as proof of the mystery itself. The absence of evidence becomes the evidence.
Allowing imagination to fill the void, it's kind of humbling to think we genuinely know more about the surface of Mars than we do about the deepest parts of our own planet's oceans, including parts of that triangle area. That vast unknown helps sustain the legend.
It really does. And finally, you just have constant cultural reinforcement.
It never goes away.
Never. Every few years, there's a new documentary, a new book, a movie mentioning it, countless internet articles and videos. The Bermuda Triangle is just this instantly recognizable cultural shorthand for mystery and unexplained danger. So the myth gets passed down, refreshed for each new generation. It's a self-perpetuating cycle.
So the legend of the triangle really is this perfect storm, isn't it? A few real tragedies, amplified by writers looking for a story, helped along by the ocean's ability to hide its secrets, and powered by our own human psychology, our love of patterns, drama, and mystery.
A fascinating case study in how myths are born and why they endure, even against the evidence.
Okay, let's wrap this up. As we finish this deep dive, the main takeaway seems crystal clear.
Yeah, the Bermuda Triangle isn't some paranormal hotspot, it's just normal ocean, with normal, albeit sometimes dangerous, maritime hazards, powerful currents, unpredictable weather, and the inescapable factors of human error and machines failing.
The legend. It's a powerful story, a cultural artifact, but it tells us more about ourselves, about our curiosity and our storytelling, than it does about that specific patch of water.
No portals, no aliens, no physics-defying forces. The real value of the Triangle story today is maybe as a reminder to question dramatic claims, to always look for the evidence, and to understand the difference between a really good yarn and verifiable reality.
Absolutely. Which leaves us with maybe one final thought to chew on.
Okay.
We spend so much time and energy chasing these manufactured mysteries, like dimensional gates in the Atlantic,
Yeah.
that maybe we overlook the real wonders and mysteries that are actually down there documented, waiting to be explored.
What do you mean?
I mean, the genuine mysteries of the deep ocean.
Oh.
The bizarre ecosystems around hydrothermal vents, the incredible biodiversity we're still discovering, the strange bioluminescent creatures, the complex ocean floor geology. It's absolutely critical role in regulating our planet's climate.
Which we still don't fully understand.
Exactly. Those things are arguably far more complex, more fascinating, and definitely more real and important than any invented story about aliens or portals needed to explain tragic accidents. Maybe we should focus our sense of wonder on the incredible reality that science is uncovering in the deep sea.
Because the truth of the ocean is already amazing enough. It doesn't need fiction layered on top.
Precisely.
Well, that sounds like a fascinating deep dive for another time.
It certainly does. Thanks for joining us on the Deep Dive.